I am an entrepreneur. I am following a dream, pursuing an opportunity, taking charge of my own destiny. I am bringing something of value to society, making a job for myself and for others, and creating wealth that benefits my family, my community, my country, my world. I am one of a movement of millions of entrepreneurs and innovators who made America great and who will keep our economy going and growing. I am what I am because many people have helped me along this way in this journey. And we have one today who we're going to be blabbing with. Therefore, I will tell my story, sharing my successes and failures so that others taking the entrepreneurial path can learn. I will strive to mentor an aspiring entrepreneur or many entrepreneurs. I will make my voice heard by those who make policy decisions that affect me and my business. I will appreciate and celebrate my accomplishments and the accomplishments of all my fellow entrepreneurs. I will give back to the society that helped me to be successful. I will build a stronger America. Barbara Weltman, is there anything more appropriate than what I just read?
The entrepreneurial pledge.
It's the entrepreneurial pledge that I took maybe 5 years ago now. I was one of the first 3,000 entrepreneurs to take this pledge that was written and developed by the Kauffman Foundation. And you and I are both very, very familiar with the Kauffman Foundation and all the wonderful things that they do on behalf of not just small business, but world economies depend upon research, information that they get from the Kauffman Foundation. So here we are. We are in day 6 of National Small Business Week. And I'll have to tell you, this is the most exciting day of the 6 because I have a friend who has been live streaming with me for, I think, Barbara, we started in either 2008 or definitely not later than 2009, one of those 2 years. We have been live streaming small business information, small business entrepreneurial ideas, marketing, and sales. And I am honored and wonderfully pleased to have today with us America's #1 small business tax expert. And how exciting is that to have America's #1 small business tax expert? And Barbara, you and I have live streamed to more than 100,000 small businesses along the way. So living up to the pledge that I just shared, we've done our thing. Wow. And we can, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop till we can't do it anymore. That's how I feel. And I'm absolutely positive that's how you feel.
For sure.
And I want to thank you for taking time and making day 6 of National Small Business Week very special. I can't think of an individual who can make it more special for me than Barbara Weltman. Barbara, I got to tell you too, and then I'm gonna elevate you today. After we are done today, at 2:00, President Obama is doing his annual speech to small businesses for National Small Business Week. You're scooping President Obama today, but I'm going to, and I registered for his call. And when I did, it was kind of interesting. The last question in the fill-in, the registration that I did was, what question do you want to ask the president? And I don't know if my question specifically is going to be asked. I know absolutely there will be versions of my question asked. I don't know if they're going to quote me on it or whatever. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to ask you the same question that I'm asking the president of the United States. We're gonna hold that off for a couple minutes.
Okay.
But I'm going to ask you the exact same question. And I'm going to get a great answer from you. I know that. I don't know what kind of answer I'm going to get from the president, but we'll see, and we'll compare those answers. Okay. To give a little introduction to Barbara. Today, I received at 4:00 a.m. on the nose from Constant Contact,
Right.
Barbara's daily email that she calls Idea of the Day. And don't think you can use that because she has registered those words. And I got it at 4, and Barbara, I read it at 4:05 today. So I probably was your first reader.
For sure. I'm sure nobody beat you to it.
Well, for sure in North America, in the Eastern time zone. Maybe folks in Europe read it at the same time. But my friends, this is when I can read it. It is the first email that I read every single day, because Barbara inspires me, motivates me, shares information. And I say, well, what she is sharing today, it kind of, I need to do more research on that to share more information or whatever it might be. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Today were the best cities to start a small
business.
Go,
girl. You remember.
I checked it out because I knew you were going to ask me, and I didn't really remember. So I checked it out. The best cities to start a small business in. And this week, all of my ideas of the day also provided links to IRS webinars that were being run all week specifically for small businesses. So I was sharing that information on top of a regular.
Wow, and also it was either yesterday or the day before. Your idea of the day was something I dug deeper into, and that was using social media to respond to things companies talk about you on in social media.
That's right. How do you deal with your reputation?
Right. Okay, so real briefly, the top 3 cities in the United States of America to do small business, and this is based upon the general business environment, access to resources. I would have to assume because of your knowledge, tax favorability to operate small businesses in those communities. The top 3 were Holland, Michigan, North Chicago, and Brighton, New York. I've actually visited 2 of the 3 of those in my lifetime, North Chicago and Brighton. Isn't Brighton a suburb of Rochester, New York?
I think so. I've never been there.
I was there in the 80s, and I love that part of the country. Jefferson City, Missouri, Laverne, Tennessee, another Minnesota city, Clearfield, Utah. I've actually been to Clearfield, Utah.
What's interesting about these cities is that they might not come to mind. You might not think of
they're small cities.
These odd small cities, but it doesn't matter whether you're in a large metropolis or a small city or even a town. You can start a business, and that's the point.
Well, the number 10 on the list is probably a community you've visited recently, Deerfield Beach, Florida.
Yes.
I've been there. It's a lovely, lovely community. I had a lovely dinner on a second story of a restaurant there overlooking the ocean, and it was just it was a lovely experience. Okay, that's Barbara's idea today. And by the way, please, the best thing you can do today for your small business is go to BarbaraWeltman.com, BarbaraWeltman.com, and subscribe to anything that she is offering, and anything, because you won't get any better small information that is available. Well, no, I take that back. I take that back a little bit because the SBA.gov has 4,000 pages of small business information, but you are often a
But I've logged
contributor.
for them, so some of that information is mine.
No, I'm saying you have been a contributor many times. I've read your byline in small business in the SBA information. So go and get it and enjoy it. It'll be time well spent. Also, did I miss the May 1st of the month newsletter?
Yes, you did.
Because it hasn't been published yet?
No, it came out because it was on the weekend. Maybe you missed it. May 1st was a Sunday.
It was definitely a Sunday, and I was traveling on that day. But boy,
you might have just deleted it by accident or something.
Shame on me. I apologize. Please forgive me.
But you can go to my website and find it. It's there.
Please forgive me if I missed it. Every first of the month, religiously, first day of the month, Barbara publishes a newsletter. She has 7 or 8 topics of information, and out of those 7 and 8, at least you will you'll dig deeper on one of the 7 or 8, probably all 7 or the 8, as I do. Okay.
I just got an email from one of my readers saying two of the articles were like gold for him. He had clients. One was related to one topic, one was another topic, and it was
I'll
perfect
give you
timing. And there you go.
Isn't it all about timing? Isn't small business all about timing?
Life, yeah, life too.
You want to share what those 2 articles were? Do you remember which 2 they were?
One had to do with asset protection, and I don't remember what. Oh, and the other had to do with background checks of employee. What that topic. You're as I say in my blog, you're between a rock and a hard place, because if you don't do background checks, you could be exposed for liability, and if you do background checks, you could be violating the law. So.
I am raising my hand. I should have done a background check in 2009. I did not do it, and I paid dearly. Not that I was doing anything illegal. The individual with whom I should have been checking their background had a very questionable background. Had I done that check, I never would have done business with that individual. And the only reason why I didn't do a background check was that a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, recommended this individual to me. And so I said, wow, I got a recommendation. I'm not going to do a background check. And wrong, bad decision. Okay. I think, okay, the first question I wanted to ask you, Barbara, well, I should share too that Barbara shares my bookshelf with my 3 other small business mentors, Brian Tracy, Michael Gerber, David Amerlin, who you probably don't know. David is an individual I met on online in Google+. And I'm going to make a change to my website. This is a commitment I'm making to you. I have those 3 individuals on my website. I'm going to get changed and put Barbara Weltman as my 4th small business mentor.
There you go.
Barbara, every November, publishes with J.K. Lasser Small Business Taxes. This is this 2016, which was last November, but pertinent to this year. It is 638 pages of small business information you cannot be without, period. And I should say this. Just to pique your interest, there's a new chapter next year on dealing with the IRS, and a new appendix on all the penalties. Because penalties are now many of them are indexed for inflation, and there are new penalties and all those things. So I added that information. So the book's going to be even bigger. Okay, so
sorry, but it's
No, why? Sorry, at 1995, it is the best investment a business can make every year. Because no, and I say that all the time. I absolutely, truly believe it every year. And well, there's a couple ways that I read this book, and I share this with Barbara. I'm sure all of her readers, buyers of the book, don't do it the same way. But if I have a specific question in mind, I will go to her index and see how then she will reference me to the page that I need to read. I can go to the table of contents and see what it is that she's talking about. But because I know the structure of the book, and because this is the 8th year that I am buying the book, I know how to read it. And what I do, if I have a spare moment in the day, I will just take the book off the shelf and just open it up. Just open it up. It doesn't matter what I'm reading, because 99.9% of the time, or maybe 99.99% of the time, I will learn something new. And that's what we need to do in our small businesses. We need to get as much information, as much learning as we possibly can to make our businesses run more efficiently. And I promise, I don't think you'll find anybody better than Barbara Weltman that can give you that direction. So,
thank you.
Well, I'm speaking to the Emmas, aren't I? Yes, Dave.
Yes.
You are
the truth.
The truth. Okay, so the first question, Barbara, I would like to ask you today is, what 3 pieces of advice would you give small businesses in terms of taxes and things they need to be thinking about that they forgot to do or didn't do in 2015 that they need to do in 2016?
Well, one thing I'll share is that I'm working now with Mile IQ, which is an app for tracking your business mileage. And you can go through my website and sign up through it and get a discount. And the reason I'm talking about it, and maybe it sounds like a commercial, but I'm a convert, is that I never used to bother tracking the little trips. If I went to meet a customer, I'd track it. If I went to a meeting, I would track it. But when I went to the bank, I didn't bother. When I went to Staples to pick up something, I didn't bother. But because this is GPS driven and it's just automatic, it tracks every trip you make, and then you decide if it's personal or business and keep the other records. And it's a no-brainer. And at 54 cents a mile this year, you won't believe how the miles add up. So it's all legitimate, but you need those records. And so that's one thing. So my general #1 tip is, I'm sure you missed out on legitimate breaks because you didn't have the records. So keep better records. It's the most important part. This is a no-brainer. As long as you have your smartphone with you, that you don't have to turn it on or anything. It just does it.
Okay, I have 2 questions on that one. Personal questions.
Yeah.
I don't drive a car anymore, and I take a bus. Can I?
Yes, it'll track every time you're moving. Like if you're in a taxi or anything. Yes.
Oh my goodness!
So like when you're out of town and you're taking it. Like for me, when I was in Washington and I took a taxi, it recorded that trip, and so I put it. I had to just reassign it to taxi. There wasn't my mileage, but it reminded me of the business trip of the taxi.
Okay, I think I know the answer to the next question. I spend 99% of my small business time online, so there can't be an online deduction.
No, you have to be. Yeah, it's meant for your business vehicle, but for people who have employees, because of the GPS and everything, and if you're reimbursing employees for business driving,
great way to track it.
You better believe it. So it's sort of like, if I could describe it, it's sort of like the Fitbit for business mileage.
Sure.
You're wearing your Fitbit and it just knows. That's sort of how this works.
The point that you just
shared. The point I'm making is record keeping.
Wow, and also,
without it, you're going to really lose out on. You're wasting your money. You're throwing money down away.
Well, not only that, what you just said and the information you just shared, literally, could save a company thousands of dollars a year.
Yes, yes.
For the reason that you just said.
Yes, and simplify and the app costs something, but the cost of the app is tax deductible. So there you go.
And you get some kind of credit if it goes through you, I would hope.
Well, people get a discount if it goes through me. So yeah.
What better way to do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Point number two.
Number two, because we had the PATH Act at the end of 2015, which extended or made permanent a lot of provisions, we kind of know what the rules are we definitely know what the rules are for 2016, the tax rules. In other words, for years and years, we've been kind of up in the air because Congress didn't get around to extending provisions. But now we know what the rules are for this year, and many of the rules for next year as well. So barring any change by Congress, if that would ever happen, we know what the rules are. So therefore, it's wise to do tax planning. You can schedule or decide whether you want to buy equipment and what the tax implications are going to be, whether what the cost is going to be for taking on new employees, and deciding on whether you get a tax credit for hiring a particular type of employee. And so the rules are there, so take advantage now and do tax planning for this year and for the year to come. Again, money in your pocket.
Well, interesting enough, the big question I'm going to ask you after these kind of ties back to what you just said, so we'll hold that thought. Okay, point number three, in terms of advice and what small businesses need to be thinking about for 2016.
So for 2016, I think a lot of businesses are concerned about what's happening in the economy and uncertain about what's going to happen as a result of the presidential election, and are kind of like on edge about what to do. But one of the areas I think we have to watch out for is taking on debt. And I would be very leery I think businesses should look for ways to, if they need capital to expand, to do new marketing, to hire new employees, they should look for alternatives to borrowing, because interest rates are only going to go up, they're not going to go down. And you don't want to get in the position of having a growing interest bill while revenues may be shrinking because there's the economy goes downward like we did in 2008. I'm not suggesting that that's going to happen, but I think that you gotta be careful. You gotta be wary. You gotta be smart. I mean, right now, for example, we have extremely low gas prices. As low as we've had in recent memory. But we know they're going to go up again. Does that mean you're going to go out and buy a gas guzzler car right now? No, because within the life of that car, prices are going to be higher. So it's the same. That's my sentiment about borrowing money right now. To review your debt, see where you can pay down debt, see where you can find other sources of financing if you need it.
Okay.
For example, crowdfunding now, equity crowdfunding is just poised to go. So that's one option, for example. And there are different kinds of crowdfunding, and some are loans. So you got to think about how you're going to get the capital you need.
And you've talked about crowdfunding a lot this year. I mean, you've mentioned it.
Well, there's a lot,
times.
Yeah, because there's a lot going on.
I was going to say, I'm sure you're going to talk about crowdfunding in Small Business Taxes 2017. I can't be sure, but
it's in there. It's in there, and just as an interesting note, S corporations, you can't be an S corporation if you have more than 100 shareholders. So there's a bill pending in Congress that would waive that shareholder limit just for purposes of equity crowdfunding. So there's a lot. You got to keep up on all these things.
And there's no better way to keep up on all these things than to A, get Barbara's book, and B, one thing that she's been doing for the last couple of years, which is wonderful, she updates the book during the year online with new information. And so the new information is worth thousands of dollars, and you're only paying $19.90. Well,
I think it's more, 22, whatever.
It's still a great value.
It's probably five Starbucks lattes or something. You know, if we think about it.
Yeah, get a book and go to your favorite latte place and sit down and read it and share with somebody else who sees you reading it, and then you'll get a new business connection and new business opportunities. Okay, here's my big question of the day, Barbara, and it's the question that when I registered to join the president's call at 2:00, the last field of information was, what question do you want to ask? And the question, and I'm going to do this from kind of memory. What is the future of the Affordable Care Act with regard to small business? And before I ask Barbara's answer to that question, because I know I'm going to get a new question, interesting enough, just today, it took them all week long, Shop Marketplace just came out, and they said, in celebration of National Small Business Week, we're going to talk about keeping small business healthy. And I want to read the 5 benefits they published today, and I want you to comment on those 5 benefits: yay, nay, yes, no, yes, but, kind of thing, and then add to it what you need, and then what your thoughts are about Affordable Health Care 2016, well, actually 2017, because we know there's going to be a new administration. We know probably there's going to be changes in Congress, and that's going to change the dynamic of, maybe change the dynamic of affordable health care. So I'd like your comments on those. But benefits to small businesses, health options program, which was presented just today in an email. Number 1, access to tax credits. Buying coverage through the Shop Marketplace is the only way for you to take advantage of the small business health care tax credit. The smallest employees can save 50% of the cost of their premiums. Number 2.
Can we do it one by one?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so as to the credit, it is true that if you want to take the small employer health insurance credit, you must obtain the coverage for your employees through the Shop, the government marketplace. There are 2 problems with this. One is it's very complicated to figure out whether you qualify for the credit. You have to have fewer than 25 employees, but really fewer than 10 to get the top credit. And the average payroll has to be less than a certain amount. It's really pretty low. Like, you're talking low at like 20. It's around 25,000, and then it phases out to 50-something thousand. That's the average payroll. You got to fit in those little parameters, and then you can only claim the credit in 2 consecutive years. So if you did get the credit in 2014 and 2015, you can't take it in 2016, even if you meet those criteria and even if you buy through the Shop. Okay, next question.
Barbara rocks. Number 2, control over costs. The Shop Marketplace lets you decide upfront how much to contribute to premiums. Plans can't change higher premiums because of higher medical costs or pre-existing conditions. That's a big one.
You bet, except that it's the law that no insurance company can charge for pre-existing conditions. So if you go to a private, through an agent to through private insurance, you're going to have the same rules apply. They're going to tell you what your costs are. You're going to decide how much of your employee premiums you want to pay, and they can't change for pre-existing conditions. It's not based on the coverage. The amount of premiums you pay is not based on the health of the employees. It's based solely on the demographics, like where you live, their age, and those factors. So it is true. Everything what they're saying is true, but I think there's a but. So, like going through the shop, it's a great thing, but okay, is the coverage available through the shop? Good, yes, but okay.
Well, thank you for the but. I couldn't pick a better person to give the but clause to all of these things, because we're seeing what the government says about it.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I think it's very good, and for the right businesses, this is a great solution. But it's not the only solution, and that's it. Interesting
enough, just this week, 2 days ago, I had a discussion. Actually, it was an interchange of comments on the internet. We didn't talk live, but we're going to have a live discussion here pretty soon. A huge Google Plus personality, huge following. Google follows him. I mean, big guy, and he's a millennial. And he made the statement to me that he loves the Affordable Care Act because of the pre-existing. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as pre-existing. So we had a big interchange of discussion on it, because I was denied for about 20 years reasonable health care coverage because of pre-existing. And by the time,
but in New York, for example, they did away with that in the 90s when we had the AIDS epidemic. They did away with the pre-existing conditions for coverage in New York. What it means is everybody pays more for coverage, but there's no pre-existing condition impact on premiums.
Wow, and he and I made a commitment to one another that we were going to talk and communicate with as many millennials as we possibly could about how important it is to get insurance, healthcare coverage right now, and something you can go and talk to your employer about, because you've talked about this many times, that the employer, this is maybe the biggest burden that has ever been put on small business. You agree with me on that statement?
Yes, and one of the key issues, the lingering issue out there. Let's put it this way: even though small business being fewer than 50 employees are not mandated to provide coverage, I don't know a business owner who doesn't want to do it. They want their employees to be protected. They want their employees to be healthy. They want to be able to compete with large employers with respect to this benefit. But you got the question of cost. So for years and years, what many small business owners had been doing was saying to the employee, look, you go out, you get the coverage you want, and we'll reimburse you for your premiums. And that was a normal thing. Well, then the IRS came up and said, if you do that, that's not a conforming health plan, and you're subject to a $100 per employee per day penalty if you do that reimbursement. So now, isn't that unbelievable? So anyway,
oh my goodness.
So then they said, all right, well, we won't penalize you. This was last year in February or March, and they said, through June 30th, we're not going to penalize you. But after June 30th, the gloves are off. So right now, technically, small businesses can't reimburse their employees for the premiums that they buy for their own policies, not a company plan, their own policies. So there is legislation pending in Congress, supported by the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council, supported by NFIB. I've sent a letter on behalf, as a signatory for NFIB, supporting the legislation. It's in the House and the Senate to permit this reimbursement arrangement, because it's something traditionally done by small businesses. And how does it hurt the employees? So that's the problem. That's some of the problems.
It benefits the employees. It benefits the employees.
Well, but it doesn't force the employer into the Affordable Care Act.
Would you do a favor for me? Would you email me a copy of the letter that you submitted, and I want to post it for people to talk to their Congress people about. I would like to post that because, we want. It's important. It's important for everybody, as an individual or as an employee, to be healthy. To be healthy.
Absolutely.
And what are those things that can we do to be healthy? And well, you and I have talked about this for years, how crappy my coverage has been until I got Medicare. Then it took a step up. This year, 2016, I decided it was in my best interest to do a Medicare supplement program that didn't cost me anything more, but gave me better coverage, better benefits. Barbara, I learned something, and I share this with folks about Medicare, and it's something that we don't talk about too much because we don't know to talk about it. But when you can claim Medicare at age 65 on your 65th birthday, if you don't do anything with Part D, which is prescription coverage,
prescription drugs, right?
If you don't do anything with it, just let it go and just take it as it is.
You'll be penalized for the rest of your life when you pick it up.
Yes, and I am being penalized at the rate of about $8 a month. Small number, but still penalized.
For the rest of your life.
For that, my Social Security check is less $8 a month because I didn't do anything. And you know what? The mountain of information I got, it probably was in there. They can't just.
But there's so much to know, and it's really hard to get trusted information. And it's
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Point number 3: year-round enrollment. You generally can sign up for coverage any month of the year, so it's easy to offer employees insurance when it's right for business. That's kind of whatever statement.
It's a whatever. It's true that you don't have the deadlines that apply to individual coverage. So there's no deadline, but presumably you've had coverage. So that only really applies to the I guess I think percentage-wise, it's a little more than half of small businesses that don't offer coverage.
Okay. Point number 4, flexible coverage options. There's a variety of plans available. You can let your employees choose among several if they want to, so employees can select a plan that's right for them.
Well, that is true. But not in all locations, because in some locations the shops are very limited and don't allow for that employee choice. But where they do, it's because some states have their own shops. Some states use the federal, so it varies a little bit. That was the thinking behind the shops, that it was going to allow employees to choose the kind of coverage, the extent of the coverage, and their share of the premiums.
Well,
but
you raise a good issue. Should that concept transcend states and be here's the consistent coverage that is acceptable?
Well, I don't know.
Too complicated or
too complicated. Move on.
Okay. Support. Get in-person assistance from agents and brokers who are trained navigators. They can help make the buying process even simpler. You can contact the shop call center for help.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because you can't get information from the shop without putting in information. In other words, you can't just say, gee, I want to ballpark what this is going to cost me if I have X employees, and this is and these are the parameters. You have to give them the information before you get any kind of quote, if you will. So it is helpful to work with people who can provide that information for you.
Okay, Barbara, once again, thank you for taking time out of your very demanding schedule.
Just one question about, I think you asked the question about what you were going to ask the president?
That was it. I
That
was going to ask
about. I would say going forward, if there's any change in Congress and the administration with respect to the Affordable Care Act, they're not going to get rid of the good things. We're never going to have a pre-existing condition issue again. I mean, that's forget that. That's it. So the good things are going to be kept. Access. They're going to figure out ways to get access. With all this wonderful Affordable Care Act stuff, they moved, a number of million of people onto the rolls, but the vast majority of unenrolled people are still have no health coverage. So I think they're going to be. We'll see new ways, new ideas. Certainly, if we have a Republican control, we are going to see more of health savings account options and that kind of thing, with lower cost insurance and savings plans, and whether the government for the savings plans of people who can't afford to fund theirs, that will remain to be seen. But I think that I don't think that people have to worry that if they have coverage now, that they're going to lose it if they repeal Obamacare.
Talk for a moment, if you will, about health savings accounts. I was talking about it from day one of health savings accounts. Where are they today?
Well, do you know, almost every major employer now offers that, and some insist that their employees go into health savings account. Why? Because they are combined with a high deductible health plan. In marketplace parlance, it really means a bronze plan, the least expensive health coverage with high deductibles. But there's a cap on out-of-pocket costs. You can't have exposure more than a certain amount for self-only or family coverage. And it's combined with an IRA-like savings plan where you have tax-deductible contributions. If the company makes the contributions, the company gets a deduction. If you have your individual coverage in your own health savings account, you get the deduction. Health savings accounts, in my opinion, are the best tax break there is. It's a triple tax benefit. You get deductions for contributions going in, the earnings on the account that grows. If you don't need them to pay for your out-of-pocket health costs, then it grows on a tax-deferred basis. And then when you take money out for qualified medical expenses, it's tax-free. So, you put money in an IRA, but when it comes out, it's taxable. Here, it goes in on a tax-deductible basis and comes out tax-free. You can't beat it. I think that this is going to be the future, and I know a lot of people who had health savings accounts were leery at the start. It was unfamiliar. They were kind of coerced into it by their employers, but love it now because it's like you can't lose. It's only a win-win situation.
You just made me start to think about something personally. I had a health savings account. I discontinued the account when I took Medicare.
You can't put contributions in once you're qualified for Medicare.
Then you just answered.
No, that's it.
Well,
but they may change the rules. That's the thing. We don't know what's going to happen going forward because these health savings accounts it's consumer-driven action. So you decide what you need and when you need it, and
that would be a wonderful thing for baby boomers to be able to.
Absolutely, because the cost of the health coverage for them will be very modest because it's really it's only kicks in after you've paid the deductible, and you have you put the money into the plan to cover the deductible in a sense. So there you go.
Well, and I don't remember the exact number, but off the top of my head, the Medicare Advantage program that I'm in, I think I still have a responsibility deductible for $3,400. So if I put that amount of money into a health savings account, which I can't do now.
You can't do now, but had you done it and not used it prior to 65, you could be drawing on that money now.
Why didn't you scold me, Barbara, back back when we first started talking about health savings accounts, because you and I have been talking about them for a long time now.
2003 is when they came out. So there you go.
There we go. Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
I need a summary statement. Is there a summary statement you would like to make about today's discussion?
I just want to say congratulations to all small business owners everywhere on Small Business Week, and stay up to what's going on and keep fighting, because we got to do it.
And don't forget about Small Business Saturday, which is the Saturday
after Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving, in between Black Friday and online Black Monday
and Cyber Monday, right? You know what? My other closing thought is that as small business owners, you alluded to it in your entrepreneur pledge, but we really need to support each other. Let's help each other however we can.
Yeah, absolutely, and get started with reading Barbara Weltman's daily small business information. Sometimes it's going to be applicable to you, sometimes it's not. But if you continue to follow what Barbara has to say, you will get benefit out of that. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
As I said, I couldn't think of a better person to celebrate Day 6 of Small Business Week, National Small Business Week, than Barbara Weltman. My name is SmallBizDavid, and I will see you the next time, which may very well be the best time. Thanks.